It's the fantasy season, and let's talk some running backs, everybody. My favorite position for sure. Also, just kind of a fun position to watch, but let's get down to it. Who are we taking for running backs? What are our tiers, our ranks, our players that we really like, our secret players, our super secret players? Anyway, let's move on. Right off the bat, man, there's three that I think everybody already knows, going everywhere. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley. You can make an argument for any order of those three, running back wise, and I would take any of them in the top 3 or 4, whatever ends up happening. If somebody really loves Jamar Chase, like a big brother, but I would take any of those from 1 to 4. I would take Bijan, Saquon, Jahmyr. Very easy. That's the light blue tier, the S tier players, the guys you can't go wrong with, except you can always go wrong because it's fantasy and things happen that are out of our control. So, but let's move on, right? What's the next tier of running backs? Well, it's the dark blue tier, the A plus tier guys, the guys who I'm still willing to take in the first round, but maybe I won't just because how everybody else is playing their drafts this year. Guys who I like Christian McCaffrey. There's injury risk there, but if you get him, good thing is you could just go ahead and handcuff him with Brian Robinson, the other Robinson brother. You could also get Josh Jacobs. He's in that list as well. I love me some Josh Jacobson. It's funny he's going in round 2 along with Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry, and that's kind of this tier. And Breece Hall I have in this tier, and he's going really late. So, you could take Breece Hall here if you want, but you don't I at this point, play the game, right? Play the board, right? Nobody's taking Breece Hall round 1, then don't take him round 1. But and even round 2, he's going as far as round 3, round 4. A lot of the ADP has Breece Hall pretty late. So listen, I have Breece Hall pretty high in my ranks, right? You don't have to take him there. Beautifully. But I do like these dark blue candidates a lot heavier than other guys. So the dark blue, like I said before, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry. And there's reasons why McCaffrey's not higher. The injury risk, coming off of a big injury last year. You can mitigate that, though, with the Brian Robinson pickup, and I think that kind of keeps you relatively afloat at RB1. Josh Jacobs, he played very well last year. I like Josh Jacobs. Maybe he doesn't have the explosion of the other dudes that are above him, but I love him. Jonathan Taylor does have the explosion of the dudes above him. Feels he's a little bit of a forgotten character in all this cast, but he still goes in the top 2 rounds in most drafts. I would be quick to grab him in the second round, or man, even in the early first, it depends. If I'm in that weird range where I'm like, oh, I could get Nico Collins and Jonathan Taylor, they're both at the back end of the first round or whatever. Maybe trying to make your style judgment, seeing who else is there, who you're higher on of these dudes. Let's go to the next tier though, because and McCaffrey, what was it, Breece Hall, right? I'm a big fan of Breece Hall, but again, you don't have to take him there. Kind of read the board. I know there's running backs that are going to go way ahead of him, so you don't have to take him at RB6 or 8 or 7. Hold on, wait a little bit. Maybe take him in the second or third, or even wait in the third round, because I got to, if you're at the high pick of the if you wait till the third round, you'll probably get Breece Hall. So let's move to the dark blue, right? Ashton Genty, not dark blue, yellow. This is the third tier. I have Kenneth Walker, Ashton, and Genty. Those are the top 2 guys in this tier. I don't think they're moving out of those spots. Walker, if you get Walker, given the injury history, recommend getting some Charbonnet later on, like a little bit of glass of it, drink it, and then draft Zach Charbonnet. Keep him on your bench. He might get his own independent value this year as well, so I kind of like Mr. Charbonnet. I've had him in a few leagues prior years. He's helped me out, win some games. Love that man. Genty, here's the thing. You're taking Genty, right? Oh, well, we can't take Breece Hall. His offense is going to suck. He's going to, they're going to run the ball with Justin Fields. There are going to be so many low points. They're not favored in any games. Their defense is this. Their offense is this. Their offensive line is this. First off, I think the Jets' offensive line is highly underrated. Having a mobile quarterback opens the lanes up for your running back. Maybe Braylon Allen gets some run, but most running backs are not getting 100%, workload anyway. So the fear of Breece Hall not getting 100% work share. Is Ashton Genty going to? Is Kenneth Walker going to? Is Derrick Henry, Christian, do we want these guys to have 100% work share sometimes? Like, sometimes it's actually bigger wear and tear on the player. If they're getting more valuable characters, that's all we care about. Just talk about Breece Hall getting some targets. It feels like I'm going to keep going back to Breece Hall at some point because I feel like he's, and I could be wrong on Breece, but at least, like, you don't have to spend a high pick on Breece anyway. But my point is, are any of those arguments against Genty? A rookie who we've never seen play in the NFL? Okay, he was drafted very highly. His quarterback's Geno Smith. Their offensive line is There's a lot of debate as to who's even going to be a starting guard on that team. I don't get it. I don't get it. Their defense isn't going to be one of them games. Are we sure that Genty's going to get all the pass pro reps? He's going to get all the pass catching reps? What are we doing here? But yeah, I have him at 9-10 area. Like him and Walker, I could get in between those two, but that's kind of I feel like that's the end of I feel like Genty and Walker are kind of its special tier. And then comes like the small dudes that are really good, that could get you some high value out of them, like the Kyron Williams, the James Cooks, the Achans, the Irvings, and so forth. That fill out the rest of the yellow tier, right? The Bucky Irving, Devon Achane, Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, James Cook. They're smaller dudes. Probably shouldn't be workload guys, but they could probably make it for 1 year. They might be able to return some RB1 value out of them. With Irving and Achane. Brown will be, all these. These are also good offenses, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Miami Dolphins, the Rams, the Bills. So we're kind of trying to situation read here a little bit, but these are also talented running backs. A little bit of concern. There's a reason why these guys aren't in the top 10 for me, and some people might have these guys in the top 10. That's fine with you. You could do that. I have them from 11 to 15. The next two guys on the list, they're highlighted in pink on my list, right? There's a light pink for Alvin Kamara, and then there's a for 16 for Alvin Kamara, and then there's a dark pink. He's the only dark pink. Omarion Hampton, 17th over of all my running backs. What do I have him as my OVR? Boop. I have Omarion Hampton. I probably won't get him at 37. I could probably tell people what their actual overall big board rank is at these points. But, yes, I have Omarion Hampton at 37, just behind Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, and DJ Moore. I don't know if I'm really going to get a lot of him. I know in ESPN he's at 42, so I'm kind of have him properly ranked, but I just didn't get him in a lot of leagues. I didn't get him so far yet, but maybe I will. It's possible. It depends on, the risk and the reward in the other ESPN leagues I'm in. Let's move beyond him, though. I like Omarion Hampton. Kind of reminded me a lot of Nick Chubb coming out. So I kind of, and the Jonathan Taylor comps made sense. So you throw him in an offense with Justin Herbert. Yes, they lost their left tackle, Rashawn Slater, to a major injury. Luckily, they have another tackle on staff who could play left tackle. All right, their right tackle situation might not be as good, but overall offensive line still relatively okay. So I'm digging it. So that's why I have Omarion Hampton 17. Kamara 16, PPR especially, a lot of this stuff. I want standard. I like standard. I miss standard. Standard's fun. Standard's predictable a little bit. You don't get the chaos catches that are just stupid. Oh, cool. PPR, have fun with that. 10 catches for 10 points. Fuck you. Anyway. Then comes 18, and that's Chuba Hubbard. And Chuba Hubbard's also highlighted in his own tier because he is kind of like the only guy in that spot where it's like high-end RB2, feels very safe, don't want any, the guys coming after him I don't want to spend a high pick on them because I'm not sure there's some weirdness to them. The next guys on the list are not, we just don't have a lot of affinity with them. The next guys on the list include, and maybe this is where I'm kind of getting into this, at RB19, this is this weird area, right? I put in Trayvon Henderson in this area. DeAndre Swift is kind of oranged, which means I don't like him. I don't want him. I would rather avoid him and wait another round and maybe take a Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason, Isaiah Pacheco, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne. We're going to get to these guys, by the way. Because once we get out of these top 18 dudes, it does become like, oh, gross. And I guess some people might not feel grossed out by DeAndre Swift, and I might be wrong on that. I have him at RB20, so he's draftable. Henderson I have at 19, and I kind of just moved him there because I'm like, at this point, you want shots at RB1, and that's why I have him. And I could see you taking him ahead of Chuba Hubbard and saying, listen, like, I want, if I'm missing, I want to miss big. So that's my issue with Trayvon Henderson. DeAndre Swift. Then comes Tony Pollard is RB21. And that's kind of, he's the other guy that you could take that it's like this is a solid RB2. Injuries in the past. Just never really been able to put it all together. Not a great goal line back kind of deal. Then I have like Isaiah Pacheco, Jordan Mason, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne from 22 to 25. Etienne is interesting because Etienne's going like round 9 or 10, and Bigsby's going like 11 or 12. And it's like, man, like we keep on thinking that this Jaguars offense is going to be good sometimes, and then we keep on, but nobody wants to put their full-on finger on it. It doesn't feel like we're getting enough information for this offense, so we're all kind of skittish with it. And this is why, like, again, Trayvon Henderson, I want to take a step back to RB19. One of the issues and one of the concerns, one of the scary parts is why it's like, I would take Henderson probably round 5. And part of the reason why I think round 5 is the safe spot for him is that, okay, you can mitigate some of that risk if it doesn't pan out initially. That's kind of your flex spot. You might get somebody who pops up a little bit bigger, and then he might hit a little bit later in the season. Kind of feels a lot like a Jahmyr Gibbs situation there. DeAndre Swift, not a huge fan of it. 20, 21 was Tony Pollard. 22 was Jordan Mason, although I think I'd move him down below Isaiah Pacheco at this point. Tank Bigsby and Etienne. Those guys are going so late. I have them starred, both of them. I have a league where I took both of them in it because I was like, well, Bigsby's still on my board too, and I got Etienne so late. So, like, if we're thinking that Liam Cohen's a semi-genius and he was, and he was able to get use out of Rachaad White and Bucky Irving last year, I feel like there's some argument that he can get some other use out of these guys. And that's my top 2 rounds, like my top 24 running backs, 25 running backs. Then I have Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, Tyrone Tracy, J.K. Dobbins. I got Tyrone Tracy ahead of getting Bigsby and Etienne because I was reading the room and seeing that, like, okay, like I'll get one of the Jags running backs later on, right? But yeah, so Tyrone Tracy showed a lot of explosiveness. I know a lot of people want to avoid New York teams. I would probably say that that's, trying to put the cart before the horse. Does have some fumbling issues. I like Cam Scatterboo, but Scatterboo missed a lot of camp, so we probably won't get a lot of him this year, or at least at the beginning of the year. So, hey, man, ride Tyrone Tracy through whatever parts of September you can, and if it shifts up, I mean, you're not expending a big pick on Tracy either. You're talking about a 7th, 8th round pick on Tyrone Tracy. That's nothing. I got him for the 8th round. I'm not saying reach for him. I'm saying if he's there and he falls to you, take him. That's what I'm saying. And, maybe try to play the game of like, well, there's 2 Jags running backs still on the board, and there's only one guy I really want from the Giants right now. I think somebody will drop Scatterboo by like week 2 or 3. Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, already talked about 26 and 27. David Montgomery, I have at 30. Because I have J.K. Dobbins at 29. I think more Montgomery. I think it's going to be more Gibbs this year, less Montgomery. Jalen Warren at 31. This is where I start moving into, all right, maybe I'll look into the Jerome Fords, the Cam Scattaboos, the R.J. Harveys of the world, the Rachaad Whites, Zach Charbonnet in this range of the post-30 RBs. Braylon Allen, there's a lot of talk he might be the 1B to the Breece Hall 1A. Caleb Johnson, rookie. This is where you would maybe look into Ja'Cory Krosky-Merrick. Somebody maybe going in the 8th round, but is he going to get all of that work? Forgotten child of the RB world, Trey Benson. Is he getting better at not bumping it outside? We'll find out. It looked like he was starting to figure it out in the preseason. But again, I have questions with his vision. Getting a little bit better, though. His vision's getting a little bit better. Maybe he keeps developing that. So maybe I'll look to take him in later rounds. I mentioned Charbonnet before. I have him at like 38. I did like Jalen Wright, but I don't think I'm going to not have a lot of picks of him. Brian Robinson's in this area of the draft. This is where we're getting to the RB2s, the back-end guys, the backups, things like that. Solidifying the back end of your roster. Do I have other guys on top of this? I don't think so. I think Brian Robinson's the end of my list. So, yeah, Kyle Monangai. Those are the guys I'm kind of intrigued by as far as right now. Braylon Allen, if you want to take a late-round flyer. Depends on how deep your benches are, too. If you're on deeper benches, that's where the Trey Bensons and the Braylon Allens and the Jerome Fords and, whatever other guys you really feel happy with, you take those guys. There's a lot of talk about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. There's, Chris Rodriguez might get some run, but, I think it's not sounding, Austin Eckler in this range, these top 40 to 50 range area guys. And Dylan Sampson, rookie out of, rookie that the rookie who didn't get arrested out of the Browns training camp. Another guy to look at in this like 40 to 50 RB range, kind of more towards the back end dart throws at running backs, because he might get some run with the ones, depending what happens to Jerome Ford. It could be a young guy who has a breakout. So, yeah, let me know what running backs you're targeting in the early rounds, the mid rounds, the later rounds, right? My main target's in the early rounds. I like me some Breece Hall. I like me some Jonathan Taylor if I can get him, but I haven't gotten him yet because he seems to go in the second round specifically. Who else? Guys who I really like. I haven't, we're going to see. I have more drafts this week. So Marion Hampton might be a guy. Scattaboo. I thought Scattaboo was going to go a bit later than he's going. He's going way too close to Tracy for comfort, right? Like, I thought I would have a lot more Scattaboo. And now I'm looking at it. And, like, on Sleeper, he goes, like, 10 picks after Tyron Tracy. Tyron Tracy's going at, like, 90. He's going at 100. That doesn't sound like a big selling point to me. ETN's going like 101. Bigsby's going like 130. I don't love a lot of, like, I love, like, I love that value there. I just don't love, like, why the reasoning behind all this. Yeah, but let me know who you guys like this year.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous. About the past and about the future.